arrive. Whoa, Saturday's here, it's do or die.
Riddell to the sideline.
Neff's got the plays in store. The field's on stage, let's settle the score. Let's settle the score.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Student Body Right. I am your host, Ryan Neff. Welcome to the second annual college football playoff and bowl preview special. He is kind enough to join me already. I got a proper introduction like I do all my guests. He'll recognize this. I do it all the time. There we go. You'll recognize that as the Georgia Tech fight song. Georgia Tech, season it could have been, started out the season 8-0, but then floundered down the stretch. Finishing 1-3 their last four, it's 9-3. Let's bring him on. That's Mr. Chad Bishop. Chad, thanks for Mr. Chad Bishop. See, I didn't even see that at first. I was just going to say Chad Bishop. It's Mr. Chad Bishop to you and me. Chad, again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
So, as we were talking before the show, I thought Georgia Tech was one of my sleeper teams this year to make the college football playoff. 8-0. Then they finished 1-3 down the stretch. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Georgia Tech fans are asking that same question, you know, and probably with some expletives thrown in there. What in the world happened? But you know, it's when I sort of sit back and look at the season all encompassing. Start off 8-0, go to NC State, and NC State really takes it to Georgia Tech. And I really think at that point, Tech was exposed, especially defensively. And then I just think a lot of the steam ran out of the offensive engine, despite putting up big numbers at NC State and big numbers against Boston College and big numbers against Pitt. It just wasn't enough to overcome the defensive shortcoming. It was interesting. I always go back to the conversation Brent Key had with us about, you know, he didn't think his team was peaking quite yet. They hadn't peaked yet, and there was still a lot of meat on the bone. He used that phrase a lot. But I think it was clear after 8 games they had peaked, and they kind of went back down the mountain on the other side those last 4 games. Now, all that to say, you know, like we talked about, 4 straight losing seasons, then 7-6, 7-6, to all of a sudden be 8-0 and then 9-3 and possibly have a 10-win season with a win in the bowl game. Just a massive step in the right direction for the program. It stings for a lot of Tech fans now here in early December, but I think looking back, it could be the stepping stone to even greater things moving forward.
As we were talking before the show, look, I love Haynes King. I think he's a baller. He's got a lot of grit. He's got a lot of gumption. He's got a lot of toughness. But when Georgia Tech struggled in the run game other than him, that's where I think they got in trouble a lot this season.
Yeah, that's fair. And it was curious to watch because Jamal Haynes, the running back, never got going in 2025. Yeah. And you know, it didn't appear he was injured at all. You know, we pressed the coaches, we talked to Jamal about it, and he just could never seem to get going. Malachi Hosley, the running back number 2, had an awesome season, transferred in from the Ivy League and a Columbus, Georgia native, and was outstanding. But it was almost defenses sort of figured out if we stop Haynes King on the ground, we have a good chance of keeping this offense in check. Easier said than done, right? For a lot of teams, that didn't work for a whole lot of teams. But the teams figure that out and switch things up defensively, King and company, you could tell that the offense just again put up great numbers the last third of the season, but just wasn't enough to overcome that defense.
The bowl game here, obviously Georgia Tech and BYU. I don't know who's playing for later. I don't know who's skipping yet. I haven't really seen anything. Guys, you know the deal over the last couple of years. So when I'm breaking down this game, again, BYU were aggravated they didn't make the college football playoff. Georgia Tech just happened to make it's the Pop Tart Bowl. I mean, there's like 70 bowl games now. So it's going to come down to which defense plays better as far as I'm concerned. I think BYU's probably got a better defense. Their offense disappears at times. Georgia Tech, their offense is potent. but the defense disappears at times. So I think whoever plays better defensively in this game, and whoever plays, by the way, is going to win the game. But Georgia Tech can't get down early and expect to come back to win. Not the way BYU defense is.
It's great points, and it's an intriguing matchup. I think motivation is key to your point, right? Like, is BYU so aggravated that they want to come out and show the world just how good they are and put it to Georgia Tech, or are they so let down by missing the CFP that they don't really show up? And then from Georgia Tech's standpoint, after that 12-game grind that they went through and losing 3 out of 4 to end the season, are they kind of over it? Do they kind of want to turn the page to 2026? So which coach is going to be able to motivate their team better, I think, is key. And then, defensively, I mean, BYU's defense is outstanding. A ton of takeaways. And Georgia Tech's defense is just really falling on hard times in the second half of the season. But both teams love to ground and pound it, sort of methodical, running quarterbacks. Georgia Tech typically plays close games no matter who they're playing. So that's why the spread is 4 points. And I expect that's the way that this thing goes. I think Frank Key and Kalani Sitake, 2 fantastic coaches, have whoever's out there playing, he'll have them ready to go.
They can't beat Haynes King to death in this game either. He's going to collapse on the field. He's got to be. I've seen him in a couple of games this year where he just looks gassed midway through the fourth quarter, and they can't do that to him in the bowl game, can they?
No, and with Georgia Tech losing offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner, who has gone to Florida, how does Georgia Tech's offensive game plan look? Do they ride with what got him here, or do they switch it up a little bit? We all know Haynes King wants to play in the NFL. I don't know the future there. He's going to the East-West Shrine Bowl. He's going to be on some draft boards. I think at the least he'll make a practice squad somewhere. So maybe a chance for him to go out there and showcase what he can do, and maybe they build a game plan around that. Instead of running him 30 times, maybe they come out and throw it 35 to 40. I think that could be an interesting offensive game plan to watch as well. And with Haynes King's future being what it is, I know coaches and players say they don't really like to think about that, but that has to be in their back of the mind in this one. Like, hey, maybe we go out and showcase Haynes King, let him whip it around a little bit, and maybe put on an offensive show through the air this time.
The coach next year?
Say that again?
Is Key going to be the coach next year? Did he sign an extension?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I just wanted to get it from you.
Yeah. Signed an extension at the, I guess, early December, end of November. My days run together. I don't think Brent Key was really going anywhere. I think there could be a few schools out there, years from now that he may give a serious look, being an Alabama native, or maybe he floats the NFL idea. But man, he loves Georgia Tech. He's an alum. I think it was only a matter of when, not if, Brent Key signed an extension to stay on and keep building this Georgia Tech program.
I'm picking BYU to win the game, actually.
Sure.
But look, if Georgia Tech wins, they finish the season 10-3.
Yeah.
I don't know how active they are in the transfer portal. But look, the future's bright. I think Tech fans would take 10-3 every year. They could have sniffed the college football playoff this year if they wouldn't have had the ending that they did. What is the incoming class look like as far as Georgia Tech goes for next year?
Well, recruiting class, it's not as robust as it was the year prior. It's hovering around top 40 right now, and they had a late push flipping a couple guys before signing day. But I think because of that, is they had somewhere near 40 freshmen and then 20 to 30 redshirt freshmen and sophomore on this year's roster. So they had a lot of depth coming into 25, and they're possibly and hopefully going to retain a lot of those guys. So the talent coming in from a recruiting high school cycle wasn't as high. Now, as you said, they got to do work in the transfer portal, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Blake Gideon's going into his second year as a defensive coordinator. They got to go get some dudes on defense. And I mean, I don't know if they have to pull a Texas Tech and go out and buy the world's best defense, but if they can do half that, they're going to be a contender for sure. They got to go get some dudes who can play some serious defense. I think that's going to be the next step.
Yeah, definitely got to get some dues. Look, Texas Tech. I'm going to make my picks at the end of the show. But Chad, when you look at the Georgia Tech BYU game, obviously I'm picking BYU. Who do you have? I don't want to
I
put you
like
on the spot.
No, I like. I mean, I like BY2 as well. When that matchup first came out. Now, again, we don't know who will opt out, who will play, who won't.
Yeah.
But BYU as a program right now to me is a little bit ahead of Georgia Tech with what they've done over the last 5 to 10 years. Having 11 wins, the only 2 losses to one of the best teams in the entire country. I just think their talent and their skill and their depth is probably a little bit above what Georgia Tech's is right now. So, on paper, going in with what BYU has, especially at quarterback with Bear Bachmeier, especially defensively with how they take the ball away and force turnovers, I definitely lean toward them as well going into this one.
Before I let you go here, who do you have playing in the college football playoff finals?
Man, that's it's funny living here in Georgia, right? Like I see a lot of Georgia Bulldogs football, obviously, and my dad's an Ohio State alum, so I watch them a lot, and Indiana a lot. It's hard to go against Indiana. I feel like this is sort of the same scenario as last year. They had a lot of doubters and haters, and they just kept getting it done. And this year they might be even better. Texas Tech to me is such a complete team. And we mentioned their defense. I don't know if you had to really force me to say who, I probably would roll with Indiana because of the number 1 team, because of the play of Fernando Mendoza, what he's done at quarterback. Usually whoever has the best quarterback, right, is able to pull these things out. Georgia's defense is playing outstanding. I love Texas Tech. But something about Indiana just going out there and continuing to prove people wrong. I mean, why pick against them?
Who's your sleeper?
Sleeper, I would have to say Texas A&M. I don't feel like it, right? Like, did we forget that they started the season 11-0 and lost 1 game? I mean, it's like everybody's kind of written them off because they lost to a really good Texas team. And Mike Elko is a great coach, and they got a stout team as well. Everybody's talking about Georgia, Texas Tech, Indiana, Ohio State, Ole Miss. Everybody's kind of forgotten Texas A&M in the national narrative. So I would kind of peg them as a sleeper team that everybody kind of forgot about.
That is Mr. Chad Bishop, ladies and gentlemen, covering Georgia Tech. Chad, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the playoff, enjoy the bowl season.
All right, my friend. See you.
Thank you, sir. Chad Bishop, I'm taking BYU. An early pick. BYU over Georgia Tech. Look, I don't know who's going to play, who's not. Because your head spins. It's like a carousel. Once the regular season's over and then they announce the playoff and then the bowl games and the matchups, I don't know who's going to opt out or not. BYU may have some players opt out. I don't know. Like Chad said, maybe BYU has everybody play just to rub it into the committee's face. Maybe they blow Georgia Tech out to prove a point. I don't know. Georgia Tech has a chance for a 10-win season. So a very intriguing game. I just think in the end, BYU's defense in that particular game will be the difference. So we got Chad Bishop on there. Thanks to him. Oh, by the way, this weekend, it's the Army-Navy game, which is always intriguing. I see him in the green room. He was happy to give me a few minutes of his time. Mr. Rob Mosley, he covers Oregon football. Rob, thanks for joining.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Can you hear me?
Okay? Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
So, look, when the draw came out, obviously Oregon's the 5th seed. They're probably going to hammer James Mason, and then it would probably wind up playing Texas Tech. Look, I don't know who's going to play, who's not. Obviously, Oregon's going to play everybody. But when you break it down against James Mason, should Oregon be worried about anything playing this football game?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a team that, won their league and made the playoff itself. So, yeah, that kind of attitude's not going to get you anywhere. That's the kind of attitude that can get you beat. Obviously, I think, having a chance to play at home is something fans around here really appreciated. I think there was a general sense that anything different than the path last year was good. So not making the Big Ten championship was good. Getting a first-round game at home was good. Avoiding Ohio State until as late in the playoff as possible was good. So, some of that feels a little bit knee-jerk, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement for good reason.
The only one who was obviously the number one team in the country, Indiana. I was actually at that game. But when I watched that game and I watched other games, it seems like, especially like in the Indiana game, when Oregon can't run the football consistently, they got away from it in the Indiana game. That's where they seem to get themselves in trouble. Are they going to try and establish the running game early against James Mason, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with your premise there because Oregon's got a couple pretty big wins in the latter half of the season against Wisconsin and Iowa, where the weather basically made it impossible to throw the ball. And the Ducks were still able to grind out some wins by playing a really physical style. So, I mean, all credit to Indiana. They did a great job in a lot of phases in that game. But I don't necessarily think that narrative is a conclusion I'd reach from that game, particularly. But I think, yeah, like every football team in every game is going to look to establish the run. I think Oregon's no different. I think you look at how thin the receiving core has been the last few games of the regular season. That made that a priority in particular. There were some other things that offensive coordinator Will Stein was able to do in terms of flexing out tight ends and taking advantage of the depth there, kind of turning particularly Kenyon Sadiq, the elite All-American caliber tight end, into basically a receiver late in the regular season to help with the depth there. I think for sure, establishing the run, taking advantage of the depth of the backfield certainly will be a priority, but I just don't think it's any different than any other game.
Well, I'm picking Oregon to win. Obviously, I just think it's not going to be close. I think they blow them out. And then obviously they would get Texas Tech. Saying Oregon beats James Mason, which they should. I watched this Texas Tech team a lot. They're scary defensively. They are, I think, the most complete team in the tournament. Some people might think it's Indiana, but this Texas Tech team, when they're playing at a peak level, they're scary, Rob.
Yeah, you've definitely watched way more of them than I have. I've watched highlights here and there, and obviously the defense looks really, really good, and I think that'd be a really fun matchup. I think where this Oregon team has closed the gap, kind of with its peers nationally in recent years, is defensively, and so this has always been a program known for offense, but under Dan Lanning has recruited with more defense in mind, and obviously with the coaching staff has coached those guys up to the point where this is a really balanced Oregon team, and I think for sure Oregon's offense against Texas Tech's defense is going to be a matchup of two really elite units. I guess what I hope as an Oregon guy is that the gap is a little bigger between Oregon's defense and Texas Tech's offense sometimes, Obviously, if Texas Tech's hitting on all cylinders, they can move the ball. But, I think if you look ahead to that matchup, that's kind of the matchup that I'd be looking at is, how much is Oregon's defense able to kind of limit Texas Tech offensively and kind of balance out what you expect will be a really tough battle when Oregon has the ball.
Well, it helps to have $25 million to spend on your defense too, like Texas Tech did. So,
well, I don't think anybody is going to allow Oregon to cry any tears about kind of the financial picture around college sports. We're really lucky around here, so that's. I don't think that's going to be a narrative anybody's going to be able to play into that Oregon's being badly outspent and woe is Oregon.
All right, so I know you can't make any picks and tell me who's playing X, Y, and Z. Who's your sleeper in this whole
who's the sleeper? What?
Who's your sleeper team in the bracket? Like, if it's not Indiana, if it's not Ohio State, if it's not Texas Tech, who's your sleeper?
Yeah, I'm just not in any position to say that just because I watch Oregon so intently on Saturday. I don't watch anybody else close enough to be able to say that from like any educated point of view.
Okay. I know you're probably in the middle of a workout. Thank you for jumping on for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Enjoy the college football playoff in the bowl season.
You got it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. That was Rob Mosley. He covers Oregon football. Look, they're going to beat James Madison. It's just by how much. But then they're going to bump into Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl. That is just going to be a tough matchup. If there's any team that would scare me right now in the college football playoff, it would be Texas Tech. They're healthy. I just think they are the most complete team in the entire bracket and in the entire playoff. Not saying they're going to win it. I'm just saying they're the most complete team, and it's uncharted territory for them. It's uncharted territory. You have to see how they handle hype. You have to see how they handle all the clippings that they're reading about themselves. They have to block out. But yes, the Army-Navy game is this week, ladies and gentlemen. I think Navy will most likely win this game. Although stranger things have happened. Navy's a 6.5-point favorite. Army 6-5. They're 4-4 in the American. Navy is 7-1 in the American. They're not playing the title game, but they're 9-2 overall. I fully expect Navy to win this particular game. Again, thanks for Rob Mosley for coming on. Thanks for Chad Bishop for coming on. Hoping North Carolina State representative comes on here, and Jason Priest will pop on, I believe, a little bit after 6 o'clock. The Nerd Bowl game. Who might be playing and who is not playing, and maybe he will be able to divulge that information. We don't. There are a couple of bowl games on this weekend. I'm just going to run. In the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, we've got the Cricket Celebration Bowl. South Carolina State at Prairie View A&M. There's no line on the game that I see. I am going to go with South Carolina State in this particular game. I think South Carolina State wins the Celebration Bowl. And of course, an early big matchup, the Bucked Up LA Bowl. The fuck is the Bucked Up LA? What the hell is Bucked Up? No clue. SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. Oh, by the way, 4 p.m. ABC tomorrow is the celebration, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. 8 p.m. on ABC. Boise State 9-4. Washington is 8-4. Washington's favored by 10. So somebody must know something that I don't. So in this particular game, I think Washington wins. I just don't think they cover. I'm going to go Washington 31, Boise State 24. Well, in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, I'm going to go South Carolina State 30, Prairie View A&M 21. So there you have it. I'm going to go with the college football playoff bracket. I'm not going to make my picks until the very end. But obviously, the number 1 overall seed is Indiana. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Texas Tech. Of course, number 5 seed Oregon plays Paul C. James Madison. Number 8, Oklahoma plays number 9, Alabama. Number 11, Tulane plays Ole Miss at the 6th seed. On the 7th seed, Texas A&M playing the 10th seed, Miami. Number 7 seed, Texas A&M. Number 10, Miami. All these games are on December 20th. I'm sorry. The James Madison, Oregon games, December 20th. Tulane, Ole Miss is December 20th. Miami, Texas A&M, December 20th. Alabama, Oklahoma is December 19th. Why is it December 19th? Why aren't they playing all the games on the 20th? It makes no sense. So Oklahoma and Alabama will tussle next Friday. Again, it doesn't make sense to me. You could play all 4 games on the same day. Doesn't make sense. You play one on a Friday. It's just another dumbass deal that they've come up with. One's at 7:30 on the 20th. One's at 3:30. One's at 12 o'clock. You could have 2 games at 12. Then you have one at 3:30, and you can have one. Another asinine, stupid thing that they've come up with. People are still bitching about the rankings. People are still bitching about who's picked. The whole Notre Dame Miami thing, the explanation of it. I thought it was a bullshit explanation. Well, we didn't weigh the head-to-head until BYU lost the second time to Texas Tech in the fashion they did. Then we bumped up Miami right under where Notre Dame was, and then we had to go to head-to-head. That's such a bullshit excuse. It's such a bullshit reason that's what they came up with. You had fucking 5 weeks. 5 weeks to come up with a better explanation than that. And that's the explanation they came up with. Don't mind Texas A&M being where they are. But Miami being in and Alabama being in, I've got an issue with it. Notre Dame should be in Miami. I don't want to hear about the head-to-head shit. If you're going to look at the totality of the resumes, Miami lost to SMU and Louisville in 2 weeks. And they were both unranked. Notre Dame could have easily beaten Texas A&M that night. They could have easily beaten Miami that night. It's not like they got out in those games. They didn't. In Alabama, don't even get me started on Alabama. You know, if you're going to go head-to-head that early in the season, they did. Alabama got their ass kicked at Florida State the very first weekend. If you look at the totality of their schedule, they beat Tennessee. Tennessee wasn't what they've been. They beat that one by. They beat Georgia in Georgia, but the fucking committee acted like they blew them out. Well, they won after they won in after. They had field goal. They were getting their ass kicked by South Carolina. And South Carolina does what South Carolina does. Snatch victory or defeat away from victory. Don't get me started. Here, Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Stop on down, have a cigar. You guys watching some horse racing, you hear the commotion in the background. Come on down to the side to let me use the for the show. So come on down. It's always a good time here. I am enjoying the fatty cigar. And Jason, Mr. from M State will be on. I will try to go down to the bowl game. And I don't know who's up. Go to see who is and who isn't. No idea. But we are here on this coast 5:30, 2:30 post time. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. We will start breaking down some of these bowl. You hear the commotion in the background? I will be back in just a minute.
Lights go up, the crowd's alive. Helmets gleam, the teams arrive. Saturday's here, it's do or die.
Riddell to the sideline.
Ref's got the plays in store. The field's on stage, let's settle the score. Let's settle the score.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the College Football Playoff and Bowl Preview Special here on Student Body Right. I'm your host, Ryan Neff. Music plays in the background. Welcome here on Cole County Entertainment. I'm here at Goose Monte Crystal Lounge and Tobacconist here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Stop on down, have a cigar if you're local. Check out the website. Check out the cigar specials. They got all kinds of stuff here. BYOB, bring your own beverage. Well, welcome again. Thanks to Chad Bishop. And also thank to Rob Mosley in the last half hour segment. Going to go down the rest of the bowl schedule, try and break it down here for you on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. We've got the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. We've got 8-5 Troy against 8-5 Jacksonville State. Troy is favored by 2.5. Watch these teams over the year. They're basically identical, mirror images of one another. Troy has played well in spurts. Jacksonville State has played well in spurts. But I've also seen Troy get their ass kicked and Jacksonville State get their ass kicked. Troy favored by 10.5. This is in Montgomery, Alabama. At the Crampton Bowl, sorry, as I got older, my eyesight's starting to go. This is at 9 p.m. on ESPN, Tuesday, December 16th. Weather, 40 degrees at kickoff. Troy favored by 2.5. Over-under is 46.5. I have a feeling it's going to be a defensive battle, to be quite honest with you. It's kind of a toss-up. 2.5 is basically a toss-up. But in the end, with reluctance, I'm going to take Troy in a close one. Again, defensive battle. I'm going to go Troy 24, Jacksonville State 21. Again, both these teams mirror images of one another. They're both 8-5. Could be a nice little battle on Tuesday. I just never been a big fan of having fucking bowl games on weekdays before the holiday season starts. Just don't agree with it. Just don't agree. But I don't make the schedule. And there's like 50 fucking ball games. It's insane. Excuse me while I Why am I sure? Oh, there we go. Thursday, December 17th, there are 2 bowl games. 5 p.m. on ESPN. You've got 9-3 Old Dominion and 9-3 South Florida in the staff DNA Cure Bowl. Where they come up with some of these fucking sponsors is beyond me. That's right, the staff DNA Cure Bowl. Camping World Stadium down there in Orlando, Florida. Kickoff weather 72 degrees. Nice and comfortable. South Florida is favored by 3.5. Total's 53.5. Again, this is predicated on if South Florida is playing everybody, if Old Dominion's playing everybody. I don't know who's playing and who's not. That's not going to come out. I don't know who's opted out and who's not. Because there are players that opt out literally 2 days before a ball game. With all that being said, though, South Florida is a little bit more battle tested than Old Dominion is. South Florida, as far as South Florida standards go, has had a good season because the last couple of years have not been up to par. Old Dominion, nice little season, 9-3, but I think South Florida, close. I'm going to go South Florida 27, Old Dominion 23 in the staff DNA Cure Bowl. Get the fuck out of here. And then 8:30 p.m. on ESPN on Wednesday, 17th. In the 68 Ventures Bowl, number 66 Louisiana, number 66 Delaware. Hancock Whitney Stadium, Mobile, Alabama. Kickoff temperature 55 degrees. Louisiana favored by 3. The over-under is 59.5. I think there will be many points scored in this one. Both defenses are something less to be desired. I'm going to go Louisiana in a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Louisiana 38, Delaware 30, and that is in the 68 Ventures Bowl. So you got the staff DNA Cure Bowl, the 68 Ventures Bowl. They couldn't come up with any better sponsors than that. Questions, comments, criticisms, throw them my way. Again, here at Goose's Monte Crystal Lounge and Tobacconist, Limerick, Pennsylvania. Come on down, have a cigar. Student Body Right, second annual bowl preview special and playoff special here on Cole County Entertainment. Hope everybody's bundled up. It's cold outside, man, especially with that wind whipping around. Holy shit. Coming up at 6 o'clock, Jason Priester be checking in. Clemson, all the hype in the season did not come to fruition. I don't know who's playing and who's not for Clemson. But they're playing Penn State. Well, if you remember, they were they 3-6? I believe they were 3-6. They won their first 3. They lost six in a row. And then they got bowl eligible by beating Rutgers. Both these teams had playoff aspirations. It did not work out. So I will be picking Dave's brain, what he expects, and who might not be playing. We already know one of the defensive tackles for Clemson, and his name is escaping. He's already declared for the NFL draft, so that's a big blow to the defense. Thursday, December 18th, 2025, 9 p.m. on ESPN2. This is the Xbox Bowl. 7-5 Missouri State and 6-6 Arkansas State. Ford Center at the Star there at Frisco, Texas. Arkansas State favored by 1.5. Totals 56.5. Again, I don't like rewarding mediocrity, especially when it comes to bowl games. I think they should have a rule. You should be 7-5 or better to make a bowl game. Period. Period. Not 6-6, not 5-7. 7-5 or better to make a bowl game. I like Arkansas State in this game. They played some tough opponents. I'm not saying Missouri State hasn't. I just like Arkansas State in a close one. I'm going to go Arkansas State 28, Missouri State 24. This thing keeps going out. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody that's tuning in live, if you have any questions or comments, I will post them and I will answer them. And again, thanks to Goose for letting me use his venue for this. A couple of gentlemen over here smoking cigars, watching the TV. Friday, December 19th, 3 bowl games on. Again, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Guess where that one's at? It's in Conway, South Carolina, Brooks Stadium. Temperature kickoff 53 degrees. Kennesaw State 10-3, playing Western Michigan and 9-4. Western Michigan favored by 4. Kennesaw State, a sneaky little good team. But I like Western Michigan in this one. I'm not saying that they're going to cover. I'm going to go Western Michigan 27. Let's say Kennesaw State 21. 2:30 p.m. on ESPN. This is in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Raymond James Stadium down there in Tampa. Kickoff a nice comfortable 78 degrees. Over-under is 58.5. I'm sorry, the over-under is 58.5. We got 8-4 Memphis playing 7-5 NC State. NC State favored by 5.5. Look, I'm always waiting for NC State to take the next step. Again, I don't know who's playing, who's not. This is all predicated on most of the teams having their core players. You're probably not going to find out who's playing and who's not playing until next week. I like Memphis in this one. I get it. NC State playing in the ACC. The ACC, look, let's be honest, it was shredded this year. It was not really all that good. Other than maybe Miami and Virginia. We saw what happened in Virginia in the ACC title game. I still like Memphis. I just think Memphis, better overall team. NC State, nice season, 7-5. Memphis, another one of those teams, a season that could have been. I like Memphis in a slight upset in this one. I'm going to go Memphis 31, NC State 27. And of course, the dumbass game that's played on Friday, the first playoff game, which makes no sense to play it on Friday next week. It's asinine. Got number 8 Alabama. Sorry, the 8 seed Oklahoma. Number 9 seed Alabama. Alabama's favored by 1.5. This is at Memorial Stadium, Norman, Oklahoma. Home playoff game for Oklahoma. Temperature at kickoff 57 degrees. Alabama favored by 1.5. Total's 40.5. You know what? I'm gonna save the playoff bracket until later on. I'm not gonna make the picks of it. So the next one, we have 2 of them. Monday, December 22nd. Yes, only one game that day. 6-6 Washington State, 6-6 Utah State, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Albertson Stadium, Boise, Idaho. Utah State favored by 3. The over-under is 52.5. Temperature at kickoff for Idaho this time of year, it's going to be a balmy 43 degrees. It's on ESPN, 2 p.m., Monday, December 22nd. Utah State's favored by 3. I did not think Washington State was going to get bowl eligible because they were down to Oregon State for their final game of the year, and they came back and then won. Again, don't know who's playing. This is all predicated on, again, most of the core players playing. This is a tough one. I've been going back and forth on this particular game. I'm going to take Washington State. I know Utah State's favorite. I just think Washington State will eat this one out. Again, over-under is 52.5. I'm going to go Washington State 31, Utah State 28. In the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Then on Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, there are 3 bowl games on. 2 p.m. on ESPN, it's the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl. Flagler Credit Union Stadium there in Boca Raton. We got 8-4 Toledo and 8-4 Louisville. Louisville's favored by 8.5. Over under 44.5. Louisville could have played in the ACC championship game, but they blew it too. Toledo's a scrappy team out of the MAC. Again, how motivated are these teams going to be? I think Louisville wins, but I think Toledo will probably keep it close. I'm going to go Louisville 30, Toledo 24. Then on that same day, on the 23rd, Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. ESPN, in the New Orleans Bowl, 8-4 Western Kentucky, 7-5 Southern Miss. Western Kentucky's favored by 4. Over under 55.5. At the Caesars Superdome there in New Orleans. I'm going Western Kentucky. Southern Miss, good season after falling on some hard times. Just like this Western Kentucky team, I think Western Kentucky will. I think they cover the 4. I'm going to go Western Kentucky 31, Southern Miss 21. And then the final game, bowl game that day, 9 p.m. on ESPN, 10-3 UNLV, 8-4 Ohio in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. UNLV favored by 4.5. The over-under 62.5. I got UNLV in this one, although Ohio, tough, gritty team from the MAC. Won the MAC last year. I just like Ohio in this. I'm sorry, I like UNLV in this game. I think they take it over Ohio. I'm going to go UNLV 35, Ohio 27. And then Christmas Eve in Hawaii, which is basically a vacation for Cal. This is at 5 p.m. on Christmas Eve. I'm not going to say they're the poor students because it's in Hawaii. But it's the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl, 8 p.m. ESPN, 7-5 Cal, 8-4 Hawaii. Cal favored by 1.5. Over under is 54.5. The Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex, Honolulu. I'm going Cal. Nice little season by them. 7-5. I know Hawaii's 8-4. Cal's more battle tested. I think they're tougher in the trenches. I'm going to go Cal 30, Hawaii 20. I know some people scoff at that because the spread's only 1.5. Don't care. Cal's going to win it. I'm going to go back to the college football playoff bracket. Look. Again, if I have to pick a dark horse in the first weekend, Oregon should win comfortably. Ole Miss should win comfortably. I don't know if there's a dark horse the first round of the playoff games. If Alabama beats Oklahoma, it's not really an upset. James Madison or Tulane win, then we've got a story. But again, Indiana the 1 seed, Ohio State the 2 seed, Georgia the 3 seed, Texas Tech is the 4 seed. Good playoff bracket other than those two that I mentioned earlier. I would go over the whole Sherrone Moore thing, but it's just it's beyond comprehension at this point. What went down. Washington State is targeting Missouri offensive coordinator Kirby Moore to be the school's next head coach. Or Washington State. What, three coaches in the last 3 years? Bad. But he is the top candidate right now. Washington State. They just need stability in that program right now. Because there really is none. It's so in flux. Kyle Whittingham is finally stepping down as Utah's coach after 21 years. He is the winningest coach in program history. He's one of the longest tenured coaches right now in FBS. So when the Utes play in the Las Vegas Bowl on December 31st, after that game, he will be done. So we'll see who they hire as their next head coach. Good coach. I think he's an underrated coach. I always thought that he would leave Utah. I'm not saying for greener pastures, but he had it made at Utah. I just thought he always would go to the next level. For anybody that follows injuries and whatnot, because you're betting on said bowl game, Rocco Beckford, Iowa State, he's having shoulder surgery. He's done. So Iowa State will be without him for the bowl game. Other news. North Carolina, Bill Belichick has said that his offensive coordinator, Freddie Kitchens, will not be back. Yeah, that's the problem. Never mind, it's the whole program with, what was it, 78 guys left in the transfer portal last year. Found this interesting. Next year's schedule for LSU. Ole Miss plays LSU September 19th in Oxford. And Missouri State. Missouri State's head coach, Ryan Beard, has accepted the Coastal Carolina head coaching position. So again, it just makes your head spin when you're looking at this shit. It just, everything is so in flux when it comes to NIL, transfer portal, bowl games, who's opting out, the whole 9 yards. It is a game that I am unfamiliar with from what I grew up with. I'm going to take a little bit of a break again. Anybody who's tuning in live, thank you for tuning in. I'm here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. If you're local, come on down, have a cigar, BYU, bring your own beverage. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'll be back for the next hour. See what kind of decent music we can play going out. Let's try this one.
Odell to the sideline.
Refs got the plays in store. The field's on stage. Let's settle the score. Let's settle the score.
Yes, it would help if I unmuted my mic. Again, welcome to Student Body Right. I'm your host, Ryan Neff, here at the Cole County Entertainment Network. I'm here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge, a tobacconist. Come on down if you're local, have a cigar. BYOB, bring your own beverage. The second annual college football bowl special and playoff special. I see him in the green room. He popped in. Got to give him his proper introduction though, as I do most. Good. You will recognize this as the Clemson fight song. Yes, I've got on my Clemson gear. I had a friend that went to Clemson, so did my backup team. Everybody knows I'm a Florida Gator guy. But let's bring him on. Mr. Jason Priester, thanks for joining, Jason.
Appreciate you having me, man. How's it going?
It's going good. It's cold up here.
It's cold down here.
It's sort of like
you take that cold back 50? Up there, man.
What is it at 50?
It's been in the 30s at night, 40s,
okay.
50 during the day. It's fixing to get like into teens.
That's the way it is up here too. So again, thanks for joining. Look, Clemson playing Penn State in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Not the kind of bowl Clemson had in mind playing in before the season started, but neither did Penn State. Look, Clemson got bowl eligible. They beat their in-state rival. They beat South Carolina. If they can win this game against Penn State and finish 8-5, what does that do? What does it do for the program heading into spring camp?
Yeah, outside of sending you into the offseason with some positive momentum, excuse me, I don't know that it does a whole lot. Just like Penn State, we're talking about a team that was ranked inside the top 5. Had not only just playoff aspirations, there were a lot of people that predicted this team to make a national title run. Can't say I was one of them, but there were a lot of believers. And with Penn State, you're talking about a team that made a deep playoff run last year. So you could call this the bowl of overhyped teams or disappointing seasons or unrealized expectations, whatever. But after starting 1-3 and then finding themselves sitting at 3-5, Clemson's reeled off 4 straight, including a road win over Louisville, a road win over South Carolina. If you can reel off a 5th straight and knock off even a mediocre Penn State team, man, it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself going into the offseason. But outside of that, I don't think it does anything big for the line.
We already know the name that's escaping me now, and I had it written down. Defensive tackle for Clemson is projected to be the number 1 defensive tackle in this year's NFL draft. He's opted out. Is there any other key players that you're hearing of that is going to opt out of the bowl game?
We've not had anybody officially opt out of the bowl game.
Okay.
We've seen Peter Woods, T.J. Parker, and Avion Terrell all 3 announced that they were heading into the draft. But, if you look at those statements, they never said they were opting out. I don't expect them to play. I would be surprised if they do. But we haven't gotten any official opt-outs yet. Practice actually started yesterday, Thursday evening. No media was allowed in. We're going to get to go up and watch a little bit Monday and on Wednesday, so we'll have a better idea. But I fully expect guys like Cade Klubnik to play, Adam Randall to play. We'll see about Antonio Williams. He kind of hinted at the fact that he would be open to playing in a bowl game a few weeks ago. But, we're just going to have to wait and see on that. I know Penn State's had a few already. who plays and who doesn't play, that's going to kind of probably, dictate the result of this game and certainly change the complexion.
As is with all the bowl games, to be quite honest with you, because
Touche.
like I said, every prediction that I've made so far, it's all predicated on, are these teams going to have their core players? And this is one of the things right now I hate about college football is, look, they pushed the transfer portal back to January, which I think is good, but they should do it until after the season is completely over. To have the transfer portal. I don't like players opting. Yeah, and I don't like players opting out. What is it? What does that send the message to your team? Hey, I've battled with you all year long, but now I got to look out for myself. It just sends the wrong message. And again, when it comes to Clemson and Penn State, breaking down the bowl game, I know Clemson right now, from what I'm seeing, is favored by 4.5. But again, it's predicated on who's playing and who's not.
I don't even know how you set the line yet.
It's in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. It's going to be cold. It's kind of like it's Big Ten weather. I don't know what to make of the game, JP. I mean, I really don't. I mean, my heart's telling me Clemson. But again, what sort of motivation are the teams going to have? I think Clemson's going to win anyway, just because I think they're more talented. But, both these teams had national championship aspirations, and hey, we're playing in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. And again, it's going to be, for me, which team is more motivated to go out on a winning note.
I'll tell you, after Clemson lost to Syracuse and they're sitting there at 1-3, I remember asking Dabo Swinney, how do you keep this team bought in? And he didn't guarantee that he could at the time. He thought that was going to be a key as the season unfolded, was keeping guys bought in after all their goals were kind of off the table. And they go off and reel off 2 straight wins on the road against a bad Boston College team, a bad North Carolina team. Start to feel good about themselves again, sitting at 3-3, come back home and get punked by SMU and Duke, and all of a sudden you're sitting back down at 3-5. But man, he continued. Dabo continues to prove, man, he knows what buttons to push in those situations. We saw it a couple of years ago when they were sitting at 4-4 and they finished the season on a 5-game win streak. Started with beating Notre Dame at home. I don't worry about the motivation part so much. At least with Clemson, I think the guys are bought in and they'll want to win. For me, it's about who's playing, who's not playing. You touched on the weather there. Penn State's already a pretty run-heavy team. Clemson and Garrett Riley's gotten a lot of criticism for not making the run more of a focal point and abandoning it overall at times. If it's cold and Clemson's missing some of those key guys on that defense, like if you're missing Peter Woods, if you're missing TJ Parker, and you're missing Avion Terrell, who's arguably your best corner, and then there's been some talk of one of the starting linebackers being hurt, and he's going to be out. And you take him out. That puts a serious dent in what you're used to seeing on that side of on the defensive side of the ball, anyways. And I think that could favor Penn State, maybe. I know their top backs opted out too, but if this thing comes down to which team's going to run the ball better, I don't know if I like those chances there, man. We'll see.
Did you say I missed it? Did you say Randall's playing or not?
He has kind of given indication that he would. After the South Carolina game, if I'm remembering right, I think it was at the South Carolina game, he was asked about that, and he said he would. I don't see why he wouldn't. This isn't a guy that's going to be a high draft pick. Just moved to running back, in the spring before this season. In hindsight, would have loved to see what he could have done had they moved him a year earlier, because he kind of looks the part. He's kind of, I hate to use the word serviceable because it sounds like I'm saying he's average, but he's been far more than serviceable, at least over the back half of the season. And at least when they made the effort to kind of feed him the ball like they did in Columbia against South Carolina, and especially when you factor in the run blocking hasn't been all that great most of the year. But that's a guy that's going to be playing, or I think that's a guy that could, suit up and think he's maybe playing to kind of help improve his draft stock there for next spring's draft. One more game of film certainly can't hurt his chances.
You would think Penn State's going to run Allen and Singleton.
So, sorry about the dog there, man.
That's
Somebody
okay.
must be pulling up
That's
my
okay.
yard.
It's okay.
I didn't
Yeah, I
hear
was
what you
gonna
said.
say,
What'd you say?
Penn State's probably going to run Allen and Singleton to death in this game.
Yeah, Penn State's going to run the ball. That's what they do, and that's why I think it's going to depend on who's playing for Clemson and who's not. If you take out Peter Woods, and DeMonte Capehart, could or could not play. He's out of eligibility, but he said his goodbye last night and said he was entering a draft. So I lean towards thinking those guys probably aren't going to play, even though they haven't officially said they weren't. So that's two of your three top defensive tackles, one of your two best defensive ends, your best corner, and it sounds like you're going to be missing one of your starting linebackers. Yeah, man, I just don't know how good I feel about that run defense, man, when you're missing all those key elements. Clemson's not been terrible against the run. It's one of the areas where they've made a lot of improvement, when you compare it to last year. Pass defense falling off a cliff, but the run defense, I think, has been top 25, top 20 nationally. So they've made a lot of improvement there, but if you got to start running a lot of backups that haven't played a lot out there and playing significant snaps, I think that kind of changes things.
Who wins?
If everybody plays, man, I'm rolling with Clemson. But if you're missing half the defense and Penn State's got most of their offensive linemen and a couple, even if they don't have their starting back, they got a couple of those other backs ready to roll. It's up there in the cold, especially if it's really cold that week up there. I would, if I had to sit here and pick the day, knowing that I think some of those guys for Clemson are not going to play, I'm probably going with Penn State. If it's all things equal, I'd ride with Clemson. But I just don't know yet, man. It's like you said, you just don't know what you're going to get from these two teams yet. A lot of it's going to depend on the opt-outs. I might totally have a different opinion 3 days from now. But I just think if you're missing those guys on defense, Penn State's going to be able to run the ball.
We got a guest on here that covers teams. He's not a homer. I mean, he calls it like he sees it.
I try
like
to.
Me.
I try to call it like I see it.
Yeah. Before I let you go, we got to talk about the college football playoff. Look, I don't see any major upsets the first round. Who do you got in your final four, and then who do you have taking it all?
I'm staying with who I picked beginning of the season to win it all. That's Ohio State. I know they just lost a squeaker to Indiana. I actually filled out a bracket today just playing around with it, and just when I got done, I noticed I was like, man, I got Indiana and Ohio State in the final. I got Georgia losing to Ohio State in the semifinal. I can't remember who the other team I had. Oh, Indiana maybe beating Texas Tech in the other one, if I'm remembering right. But I don't know, man. I was a big fan of Ohio State coming into the season, what they had, particularly defensively. Indiana has proven to be even better than they were last year. They just went toe to toe with Ohio State, showed they could compete with those guys. So I'm going with an Indiana Ohio State national title game in a rematch of the Big Ten championship, and I think Ohio State gets the revenge.
If you had to pick a sleeper team going to national championship, who would your sleeper team be?
Could you call Texas Tech a sleeper? Yeah, if I had to pick one, I might go with them, just because they're not your typical name brand of teams that are generally in the playoff from one year to the next. I don't see James Madison or Tulane pulling off any upset. If you hadn't had the coaching change, I might ride with Ole Miss there. I just think that's going to be too big of a distraction. So I would probably go with Texas Tech and that ginormous payroll they got over there.
Well, I'm taking Clemson over Penn State. I don't know why. I don't know who's playing. I guess I'm just going with my heart.
Yeah, I
because
might
like
change my
said,
mind by the time we get there.
You know, everybody knows I'm a Florida Gator guy. I'm still not happy about Billy Napier 2.0. The hire. I've always considered Clemson my backup team. But look,
Hey, could be worse, man. You could be a Notre Dame fan and watching your administration and AD just acting like a 3-year-old spoiled brat that didn't get their way.
what do you think about that Miami in over Notre Dame?
I
don't
think
like
Miami
it,
should have got in over Notre Dame. They had to head to head. To me, it should have come down to Alabama and Notre Dame. I think Alabama tends to get the benefit of the doubt, generally. That there are some data points that certainly look better on their resume than Notre Dame's, but they got pumped in the SEC championship game. Every team that lost in a conference title game dropped down at least one spot, except Alabama. They
got punked by Florida State.
They did not play well in the month of November, and they lost to a 5-win Florida State team. If it was me, I'm probably putting Notre Dame in over Alabama, but I can see the argument for it going the other way with the strength of schedule and stuff. So I didn't have a big time issue with it, but the hissy fit that Notre Dame's been pitching and blaming the ACC for all their troubles, man, that has been one of the most entertaining things that this sport has delivered in quite some time. Notre Dame is not a full member. They're not a member in football. The ACC is supposed to go to bat for the 17 member institutions in that league. They're not supposed to go to bat for you. Had you made it, you're not sharing any of that revenue, playoff revenue, with any ACC schools the way Miami will. You strive on being independent. You live for that. Well, maybe it cost you here. If we're talking baseball, basketball, absolutely. The ACC should go to bat for Notre Dame every time, but not in this instance. I kind of wish I saw a column out there. I think it was Today by Matt Hayes for USA Today. And, I was reading that thing and I was like, man, he's spot on. I kind of wish Jim Phillips would come out and say, hey, look, man, if you don't like it, kick rocks. See who else will take you. Under this deal we've given you. The ACC has been over backwards from Notre Dame. Notre Dame is basically the reason why Cal and Stanford are members now. They wanted it. They got it. The list goes on and on of the concessions the ACC's made for Notre Dame. And I don't see any scenario in which the Big Ten would take them as a part-time member or the SEC would take them as I know the SEC wouldn't. I don't think they'd get that deal anywhere else. Maybe the Big 12. I'm not even sure they'd give it to them. Not that Notre Dame would be interested in that, but sometimes it's better to just bite your tongue, and that's kind of what Notre Dame probably should have done here.
You were talking about conference championships. Before I let you go here, they had their place at one time, JP. They don't have a place anymore. If you win the ACC outright, and then you got to go to tiebreakers or whatnot, fine. But to play championship games anymore for your conference, conferences are too big now. I just don't see the use for them, especially if a team's going to get docked, other than Alabama, for playing in a conference championship game. I say, I don't even like automatic bids. I can't stand it.
I'm not a big fan of AQs.
No, it should be get rid of the AP poll, get rid of the coach poll, just let the season play out, and then in the beginning of November, let the college football playoff committee out with their rankings. That's no automatic qualifiers. I don't even like bye weeks, to be honest with you.
This is kind of where I see it heading, and if you're gonna do AQs, I prefer them be done this way, and that way, you kind of limit with. You take away some of what the committee does, but there'll still be a few at-larges. When they expand, whether they go to 16 or 24 or whatever it is, we know they're going to expand some point in the near future. I think what you're going to see is conference championship games go away, and the outright champion will have an automatic spot. And then on that conference championship Saturday, you'll see the second third, fourth, and fifth place teams playing play-in games. Whoever wins gets in. Like you'll have number 2 versus number 5, number 3 versus number 4. I know the SEC's already been talking about that at least a year ago, talking about doing that last year when you know, they had a couple of teams that they thought should have get in, got left out. So I kind of see it heading in that direction, and it'll take some of the onus off of what, you know, the committee has to do. They'll still have to decide a handful of at-large teams, but if we're going to do AQs, I prefer to do them that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mr. J.P. Priester, covering Clemson football, all things Clemson, actually. Clemson basketball team blew it the other night up on BYU. I saw that, and then what are you going to do, JP?
21-point halftime lead, and 12 minutes into the second half, you've scored 4 points. And they end up losing. They end up, you know, BYU comes out. They end up taking the lead. I think they built a 5 or even a 6-point lead there late. Clemson fights back and ties it up, and then still loses on a buzzer beater.
Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy the bowl games. I will have to pick your brain in the spring about what moves Clemson's made. Does Garrett Riley come? Did they get rid of Riley yet?
That you know, he's been a candidate for the head coaching job at North Texas. He was a candidate for the job at Coastal Carolina. He didn't get either one of them. You know, he signed. You know, people remember he originally signed for 3 years, but he's been extended since then. If I'm not, you know, I was originally thinking he was signed through next year. Now I think, if I'm remembering right, I think he signed through the next 2 seasons, which would put his buyout up over $3 million. So you got to give him every opportunity to go find a new gig. You know, the site I work for has been adamant that he's not coming back next year. You know, and I don't think he is. You know, I actually think both parties are kind of ready to move on from one another. Just don't know how it's going to play out yet. You know, if you're a Clemson fan, you'd like to see that thing or any staff changes actually get done before the portal opens, because you got so many needs that need to be addressed there, and those guys are going to want to know, hey, who's my position coach? But it's starting to look like, you know, they're going to wait until after the bowl game to do some of this, and that might be too late. You know, that might help, or excuse me, that's probably going to hurt what you try to get accomplished in the portal.
Enjoy it, man.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Have a good Christmas.
You too, bud.
See ya. JP Priester, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to have to make some big time decisions in the offseason. Clemson is. Garrett, that experiment has not worked. This hasn't worked. They need a fresh mind in there. They need to go a different direction. I think Dabo really needs to hit the portal hard, because there's going to be some decent players out there that he can bring in to help, but we'll see. Almost 6:30 here on the East Coast, 3:30 on the West Coast. I'm going to take another little mini break, and then I will continue going down the bowl season. At the end of the show, make my playoff predictions for this year's college football playoff. Let's do this. Bring me out.
Lights go up, the crowd's alive. Helmets gleam, the teams arrive. Saturday's here, it's do or die.
Riddell to the sideline.
Ref's got the plays in store. The field's on stage, let's settle the score. Let's settle the score.
Again, welcome back. Student Body Right, second annual college football playoff and bowl special. I'm down here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. If you're local, come on down, have a cigar, bring your own beverage. Here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. Again, thanks to Chad Bishop, thanks to Rob Mosley, thanks to Mr. JP Priester. I really appreciate that coming on, taking that time out on a Friday evening to join the program. So I'm going to go down the rest of the bowl games. Going to try and stretch this out till 8 o'clock if I can. I'm still waiting on 2 other guests to see if they're going to come on or not. I know this is their busy time of the season with the bowl games and everything, covering other sports and whatnot. So Friday, December 26th, 1 p.m. on ESPN, the Game Above Sports Bowl, Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. We got 7-5 Central Michigan, 6-6 Northwestern. Again, this is all predicated off the fact that I have no fucking clue who's playing or not. If their core players are playing, the picks will be different. If the core players are not playing, Northwestern's favored by 10.5. Northwestern 6-6, tough schedule. Central Michigan, MAC. Funny, Northwestern and Central Michigan. This is usually an early season matchup between the Big Ten and it's not the Big Ten anymore. It's the Big Ten plus 9. I think Northwestern will probably win this game handily. I'm going to go Northwestern 35, Central Michigan 17. Also, Friday, December 26th at 4:30 p.m. ESPN. The Rate Bowl. Where the hell did they come up with some of these sponsors, by the way? The Rate Bowl. Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona. 9-3 New Mexico, 7-5 Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 2.5. Look, all Minnesota does is run the football. It's all game control, clock control. Again, New Mexico, nice season. Again, I know New Mexico is going to play everybody. Minnesota, maybe. I still think Minnesota wins. I'll go Minnesota 31, New Mexico 20. 8 p.m. on ESPN. The Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Gerald J. Ford Stadium, Dallas, Texas. We got Florida International at 7-5. University of Texas San Antonio 6-6. They are favored by 8.5. I have a feeling the spread's that high is because Florida International is probably going to be having a couple players opt out. I will go Texas San Antonio 30, Florida International 20. And then we got a whole slew of bowl games Saturday, December 27th. A bunch of them. Puff on my cigar. 11 o'clock start on Saturday. The Gold Bowling Military Bowl. Okay. Guess both teams will probably go bowling a couple nights before the game. Annapolis, Maryland, Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. 8-4 Pitt. 8-4 East Carolina. Pitt's favored by 4. Over-under's 59.5. Again, predicated on who's playing and who's not. I'm still going to take Pitt to win. I'll go Pitt 34, East Carolina 27. Spread's high for a reason, or not the spread, the over-under's high for a reason. I believe many points will be scored in this particular game. 12 p.m. ABC. I already gave you my pick for Penn State Clemson. I think Clemson's going to win. It'll be a nail biter. I'll go Clemson 27, Penn State 4. All these games Saturday, December 27th. 2:35 or 2:15 p.m. ESPN. I'm not really spacing these games out real well. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl. That's right, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Fenway Park, Boston, Massachusetts. 9-3 UConn, 6-5 Army. Again, Army still has to play Navy this weekend, tomorrow. Army's favored by 6.5. Again, UConn, Jim Moore has bolted UConn. He's not their coach anymore. Again, don't know who's playing, who's not. They've got Army favored by 6.5 because somebody knows something. Probably because UConn's going to be minus a lot of their core players. Somebody knows something I don't. I'll take Army to win 27-24. 3:30 p.m. ABC. Again, Georgia Tech, BYU. I've already made my pick for that. I believe BYU will win. BYU's got a better defense. I don't like what I've seen out of Georgia Tech the last back half of the season. I'll go BYU 35, Georgia Tech 21. I just think Georgia Tech's in for a rude awakening. December 25th, 4:30 p.m. on the CW network. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. That's right. Have a pimp as your as a sponsor. That'll work out well. Arizona Stadium, Tucson, Arizona. We've got 7-6 Miami of Ohio because they played in their title game against 8-4 Fresno State. Fresno State's favored by 3.5. I've got Fresno State winning this game 30-20. 5:45 p.m. December 27th. Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. Albuquerque, New Mexico, University Stadium, New Mexico. We got North Texas at 11-2 against San Diego State 9-3. North Texas is having just one of those magical seasons. Texas is favored by 3. Over-unders 55.5. Many points to be scored, obviously. I'm going to go North Texas 38, San Diego State 30. Also, December 27th, 7:30 p.m. on ABC, the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl there in Jacksonville, Florida at Everbank Stadium. We've got number 19 Virginia at 10-3 against Missouri 8-4. Missouri's favored by 7. Again, Virginia's been flirting with disaster in many games. Giving a lot of love to Mizzou, no love to Virginia. I think Missouri will probably win the game. Don't know who's playing for Virginia. I'm going to go Missouri 28, Virginia 20. How's that? 9:15 p.m. on ESPN. The Kinder's Texas Bowl, NRG Stadium, Houston, Texas. 7-5 LSU against 21st ranked Houston at 9-3. Houston's actually favored by 3. Again, probably because LSU, some of their players are going to opt out. Somebody knows something I don't. So I will go Houston. Houston wins 27-21. One game on Monday, December 29th. Again, I don't find it real good to be playing bowl games on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday. It just makes no sense. But in any case, Monday, December 29th, the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl, Protective Stadium, Birmingham, Alabama. We've got 6-6 Georgia Southern against 5-7 Appalachian State. Georgia Southern favored by 3.5. Over-under is 59.5. Somebody's got to win, right? I'm going to go Georgia Southern 27, App State 20. Tuesday, December 30th, 2 p.m. ESPN. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, Independence Stadium, Shreveport, Louisiana. We've got 6-6 Coastal Carolina, who has a new coach. Louisiana Tech at 7-5. Louisiana Tech favored by 7.5. I'm going Louisiana Tech, although Coastal Carolina really turned it around after a rough start to the season. I'm going to go Louisiana Tech. I'll go Louisiana Tech 31, Coastal Carolina 24. 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. This would be a Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl. Guess where that is? That would be in Nashville, Tennessee at Nissan Stadium. We got 8-4 Tennessee, 8-4 Illinois. Tennessee favored by 4.5. Over under 60.5. Probably because teams' core players probably aren't going to play. Going to be a high scoring affair, probably. I picked Illinois to make the college football playoff. I was wrong. I'll go with Tennessee 35, Illinois 30. In the 9 p.m. ESPN, the Valero Alamo Bowl in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Number 16 USC at 9-3 against TCU 8-4. USC favored by 6. Again, total is 58.5. A lot of points to be scored, obviously. I will go USC 34, TCU 27. Coming up on 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That would be 3:45 West Coast time. For those keeping track. I'm here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge at Tobacconist, here in Limerick, Pennsylvania, here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. Again, if you're local, stop on in, have a cigar. It's BYUB. Bring your own beverage. Here on it's a cold Friday evening. Hope everybody is bundled up. Wednesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. Which again, I don't like games being played on New Year's Eve either, but I don't make the rules. Again, 12 p.m. ESPN. We've got the Reliant Quest Bowl, Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. Number 23, Iowa 8-4. Number 14, Vanderbilt 10-2. Vandy favored by 5.5. Iowa's defense is tough. Vanderbilt having a spectacular season. I think in the end, Vanderbilt probably, the spread's 47.5. I think Iowa's defense will keep this close. But I think Vandy has too much. Iowa's offense is not all that great. I'm going to go Vanderbilt 27, Iowa 17. 2 p.m. on CBS. This would be the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. El Paso, Texas. 8-4 Arizona State. Duke, your ACC champions at 8-5. Duke favored by 1.5. Again, I don't know who's playing for either team. I'm sure Duke, being the ACC champion, will most likely play everybody. Arizona State, I don't know. Duke favored by 1.5. I think Duke wins the game. They've shown me a lot the second half of the season. I'm going to go Duke 30, Arizona State 20. 3 p.m. on ABC, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, Camping World Stadium. Number 18, Michigan. Number 13, Texas. Both 9-3. The whole situation with Sherrod Moore and Michigan, it's just it's a mess. Sorry about that there. Little glitch in the system. But again, I think Texas is going to win the game. Texas is favored by 7. I'm going to go Texas 31, Michigan 17. 3:30 p.m. ESPN. The SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada. 7-5 Nebraska. Number 15 Utah 10-2. Utah favored by 16.5. One of the biggest spreads I've seen so far in the bowl season. I think Nebraska's in for a rude awakening. I think Utah's going to kick their ass. I'm going to go Utah 38, Nebraska 17. Then we start getting into January bowls. Friday, January 2nd, 1 p.m. on ESPN, the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas. 5-7 Rice, 6-6 Texas State. Texas State is favored by 10. I think Texas State blows them out. Texas State 38, Rice 17. 4:30 p.m. ESPN, AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 9-2 Navy, 7-5 Cincinnati. Navy's favored by 4. Still have to play Army tomorrow. Somebody knows something I don't. Navy 30, Cincinnati 21. Follow the bouncing ball here. 8 p.m. on Fox. The Trust and Will Holiday Bowl. Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego, California. Number 17 Arizona at 9-3 against SMU 8-4. Arizona favored by 3. I have Arizona winning 31-21. Then at 8 p.m. ESPN, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. 8-4 Wake Forest, 5-7 Mississippi State. Mississippi State's actually favored by 2.5. Somebody knows something I don't. I'm going to go Mississippi State with the W. Mississippi State 24, Wake Forest 21. And then we got to get into the college football playoff bracket. Maybe go over some of the more competitive bowl games that I think. Maybe break it down a little bit more. 6:48 here on the East Coast. Again, the Student Body Right, Poster INF here. Second annual college football playoff and bowl special. Again, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'll be back, and then I will make my picks later on for the college football playoff. Let's see what kind of spiffy music to play ahead now. Give me just a second here while I pull it up. Let's try this one. What do you think?
Lights go up, the crowd's alive. Helmets gleam, the teams arrive. Saturday's here, it's do or die.
Riddell to the sideline.
Neff's got the plays in store. The field's on stage, let's settle the score. Let's settle the score.
It would help if I unmuted my mic, wouldn't it? Welcome, Student Body Right. Host Ryan Neff here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. Second annual College Bowl special and playoff special. Again, thanks for everybody that tunes in live. I am here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge, Tobacconist in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Again, stop on down, enjoy a cigar. BYOB, bring your own beverage. But let's continue, shall we? I'm going to try and go down through some of the more competitive matchups that I think that have caught my eye as I scroll through them here. Again, probably not going to make it till 8 o'clock. I had like 2 or 3 guests back out at the last minute. There's nothing I can do about that. Again, they're a busy time of the year covering their teams. Some of the guys that come on just don't cover football. They cover universities, football, basketball, baseball, the whole 9 yards. So the first game that caught my eye was the Memphis NC State game. Memphis 8-4, NC State at 7-5. Again, the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Did you get all that? NC State favored by 5.5. Kind of surprised at that. Probably because Memphis is going to be out without some of their core players, like I said before. Again, I think it'll be competitive. I'm taking Memphis in the slight upset. Again, like I said earlier, I just don't trust NC State. Again, every yesterday I'm waiting for them to take the next step, and they don't. I just don't trust them. I'm taking Memphis. Sneaky good game, like I said, on the 22nd. You have 6-6 Washington State, 6-6 Utah State. Utah State's favored by 3. Just Washington State, 3 head coaches in 3 years. It's just been a mess. Utah State has shown glimpses. I like what I saw out of Washington State. I'm still taking Washington State to win the game. I think they'll use it as a rallying cry. I just think Washington State will win the game outright. There's another sneaky good game is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. 10-3 UNLV, 8-4 Ohio. UNLV favored by 4.5. UNLV, a sleeper pick that I said would make the college football playoff. It almost came to fruition. But again, I like UNLV there in a close one. Some of these other games I think will be blowouts. Go Bowling Military Bowl, 8-4 Pittsburgh, 8-4 East Carolina. Pitt favored by 4. That'll be another close game. I think it'll be competitive. I still think Pitt pulls it out in the end. Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Again, 6-6 Penn State, 7-5 Clemson. Both of these teams are supposed to make a push for a national title. Didn't work out that well. I still had Clemson winning close. It'll be very, very close and competitive. As I go down the list here. Number 25, North Texas, 11-2. San Diego State, 9-3. And like I said, the Isleta New Mexico Bowl. North Texas, for some odd reason, is only favored by 3. Close game. I still think North Texas pulls it out. Watch that one. I think it'll be competitive. Go down the list here again. 8-4 Tennessee, 8-4 Illinois, Liberty Mutual, Music City Bowl. Watch that one. Gonna be a lot of points. I still think Tennessee will eke it out. Again, some of these spreads are predicated on the fact that you don't know who's playing and who's not yet. If, let's say, USC plays TCU, and TCU, some of their players out of the bowl game, USC's favored by 6, you're going to see the spread go way up. Quest Bowl, number 23 Iowa, number 14 Vanderbilt, 8-4 and 10-2. Iowa's defense will keep it close, but Vandy wins. Watch that one. I think it'll be a good one. Again, some of these other games, I don't think will be close. Number 17 Arizona, 9-3 SMU, 8-4. Arizona favored by 3. Watch that one. That'll be a sneaky good ball game. So let's go to the college football playoff again. I had 3 guests opt out at the last minute. Nothing I can do about that, so I'll have to cut the show short, unfortunately. 7 o'clock hour here on the East Coast. That would be 4 Pacific Coast Standard Time. So let's look at the bracket, shall we? Again, December 20th, 7:30 p.m. Number 5, Oregon. Number 12, James Madison. If Oregon doesn't blow them out, I will be surprised. I'll be really surprised. I'm trying to pull up the spreads as they stand now. I'm trying to come up. And it's buffering. And it continues to buffer. Oregon's favored by 21.5. James Madison's 12-1. Oregon's 11-1. James Madison, they're having a special season. They won their conference championship. I just don't see how they're going to hang around with Oregon. Oregon at home, playoff game, Autzen Stadium. Temperature won't be a factor. 53 degrees at kickoff, and that's at 7:30 in the Northwest. I just don't see how James Madison hangs around. I'm going to go Oregon 41, James Madison 17. That's the 5-12 matchup. The 6-11 matchup, December 20th, 3:30 p.m. Number 6 Ole Miss will host number 12 Tulane, 11 Tulane, sorry. But Lane Kiffin's not there anymore. Offensive coordinator is still there. It's be Charlie Weiss Jr. Again, home game, Ole Miss, first time in the playoff. Ole Miss favored by 17.5. Tulane, 11-2, conference champion. Their coach is gone, though. Mississippi State favored by 17.5, 3:30 kickoff. It'll be 57 degrees, so temperature, weather, not an issue. Lane Kiffin being gone has to hurt. I think Tulane will keep it closer than 17.5, but I still think Ole Miss wins. I'm going to go Ole Miss 34, Tulane 21. So they will both advance. The 7-10 matchup. Number 7, Texas A&M. Host number 10, Miami. Everybody knows how I feel about Miami and Oklahoma and Auburn being in this. Miami and Alabama being in it. Texas A&M been sitting around a long time, and so is Miami. Current spread as it stands today, as soon as it comes up here. Said as soon as it comes up here. Texas A&M favored by 3.5. Home playoff game. And Kyle Field. Place will be rocking. Temperature 60 degrees at kickoff. It is a 12 p.m. start, which will be 1 p.m. for Miami. Everybody keeps hyping up Miami, XYZ. If you look at their last 4 wins, Texas A&M, last time we saw them, they were getting blown out by Texas to miss out on the SEC title game. I just think Texas A&M with the home field, I think they eked the victory out. Spread's 51.5. I don't know if it's going to be that high of a scoring game. Both these defenses are solid. I just think Texas A&M at home. Texas A&M 27, Miami 24. So they will advance. And then you have the Oklahoma-Alabama game, the 8 and 9 seeds. Oklahoma at home, but Alabama's favored by 1.5. This is a rematch, obviously. Oklahoma beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Was it who was in Oklahoma? I don't remember now. This is a toss-up. Alabama being a 1.5 favorite is basically saying the game's even. I've gone back and forth on this many, many times over the last 5 days. I just don't like Oklahoma's offense the way it stands. Unfortunately, I'm going to pick Alabama. They're going to win. Going to be low scoring. Alabama 24, Oklahoma 20. So, which leads me to the next round. As I pull the bracket back up. So, in the second round, all these games will be on, well, 3 of them will be on January 1st. The other one will be December 31st. So we'll go to the December 31st game. I've got number 2 Ohio State playing number 7 Texas A&M. Ohio State needs to get their offense corrected, and they need to run the football. Texas A&M's defense is stout, but this will be at the Cotton Bowl, which is basically a home game for Texas A&M. I just think Ohio State will somehow find a way to beat Texas A&M. I've got Ohio State winning that particular game 24-17. And then the January 1st games, the early window, which would be at 12 p.m., I've got number 4 Texas Tech playing number 5 Oregon. Texas Tech is my sleeper to win the national title. I'm not saying they will. This will be at the Capital One Orange Bowl. So Oregon's got to travel all the way across the country. I'm sure they'll be acclimated by then, but 12 p.m. start, which would be 9 a.m. Oregon time. I just like Texas Tech's team overall. I think they're just more well-rounded than Oregon. I know Oregon can throw up points, but they haven't faced a defense like Texas Tech. The last time they faced a defense remotely like Texas Tech, it was against Indiana. They lost that game. I have Texas Tech winning that game 28-17. And then I got number 3 Georgia playing number 6 Ole Miss, which is the 8 o'clock game, January 1st. The way Georgia's playing right now, Ole Miss, even though they'll get the first round victory, bumping into this Georgia team, I just think Georgia will put the hammer down, stop them defensively. I've got Georgia winning that game 30-17. And of course, number 1 Indiana playing number 9 Alabama. That'll be January 1st at 4 p.m. I've got Alabama advancing. Just like Indiana's team overall, I think Alabama will make it a game. I just like Indiana's overall team in the end. Alabama, you don't know which Alabama you're going to get. I've got Indiana winning that game. Indiana 28, Alabama 20, which will bring me to the Final Four. first game will be on January 8th at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. I've got number 2 Ohio State playing number 3 Georgia. I know my man JP Priester there picked Ohio State to win the national title preseason. He picked them to go back to back. I don't think they will. I think this is where Ohio State stubbed their toe. Ohio State's defense, stellar. One of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. But Georgia's playing too well. Ohio State's offense tends to disappear at times. Number 2, number 3, I got number 3 Georgia winning that particular game, 27-17. And then in the second game on January 9th, 7:30 p.m., both these are on ESPN, by the way, will be the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I've got number 1 Indiana playing number 4 Texas Tech. This will be a close game. These teams mirror one another. But, surprise, surprise, I've got number 4 Texas Tech beating number 1 Indiana in that particular game. I think Texas Tech is a little bit more rounded. I think that'll be a low-scoring affair. I've got Texas Tech winning that game 24-20, which leads me to the national title game. Number 4, Texas Tech against number 3, Georgia. Gone back and forth on that a lot. This will bring me to my final. Who gets the finger? And I got to do it. I think Georgia will beat Texas Tech in the national title game 27-17. And yes, Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, you get the finger. Let's play that fight song. You will win the national title by beating the 4 seed. As a 3 seed, you will beat Texas Tech in the final, 27-17. Georgia will win its 3rd national championship in 5 years, which will put Kirby Smart on a completely different level as a head coach. He will tie many head football coaches in college football that have won 3 national titles. One being Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, you can go all the way back through. But Georgia wins the national championship. My pick, and I'm sticking to it. Let's let the band play this out. Again, going to cut this short. Unfortunately, the 3 guests that I was supposed to have on in the 7 o'clock hour, they had to back out because some things came up. Again, busy time of the season. They're not only covering their teams in the bowl games, they're covering the basketball teams, both men and women. They're covering other stuff. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Not going to make it till 8 o'clock, but what are you going to do? These things happen. I want to thank Goose here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge, Tobacconist here in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Great venue, the Cigar Lounge. Become a member. The Cigar Lounge is huge. They've got all the recliners in here. They got games you can play. They've got all kinds of big. We got a kitchen over here. You can kick back with your beverage, with a cigar, kick back in the recliner, watch TV. You can get your own locker. Throw dead body parts in there. But no, I'm just kidding. Thanks to everybody who tunes in. Again, thanks to my guests, Chad Bishop, Rob Mosley, JP Priester for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, the bowl season kicks off tomorrow, plus the Army-Navy game is tomorrow. Yes, we are winding down college football. Depressing part about this is for me, it's because I'm a college football fanatic. I'm an addict when it comes to college football. And we're closing out another season. Again, Georgia Bulldogs will beat Texas Tech in the national title game 27-17, will win their 3rd national title in 5 years. Again, thanks to the guests. Stay warm out there. Stay safe. I will see everybody hopefully on Monday for another edition of Early Inning Sports Buffet with the Ginch. Probably review week 15 in the NFL. Playoff picture will probably be taking shape by then. What you have as your team is what you have. A lot of teams are still vying for wild card spots. But after this week, I think we'll have a fair assessment of what the playoffs will start to look like. So, again, thanks to everybody who tunes in. Thanks to Goose for letting me do this here. I'm out. I'll see everybody Monday night.
Lights go up, the crowd's alive. Helmets gleam, the teams arrive. Saturday's here, it's do or die.
Riddell to the sideline.